Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack something that is probably sitting right in the middle of your living room right now. We are taking a really hard look at the hidden data collection capabilities and honestly, the security vulnerabilities of robot vacuums. I mean, sure, they map our floors, but what else are they actually learning about us? The source material has this quote that just perfectly captures the whole Trojan horse reality of the modern smart home. It says, "The evolution of smart vacuum cleaners is an example of people trading privacy for convenience. We eagerly invite these little robots in, right? Because let's face it, we want them to save us from tedious weekend chores. But we rarely pause to think about what they're taking in return. It is literally the ultimate trade-off of the modern age. Convenience in exchange for your personal data." So here is the roadmap for today. First up, the price of convenience, followed by gathering dust and data. Then we'll get into real-world privacy leaks and hacking your smart home. And finally, we'll wrap things up with how manufacturers are responding and exactly how you can go about protecting your home privacy. Let's get into it. Okay, jumping right into section 1, the price of convenience and the evolution of the robotic vacuum. So if you want to defeat your vacuum's longtime nemesis, tangled cables, rogue shoelaces, pet toys, you basically have to upgrade to a high-end smart model. And these things are loaded. They are equipped with cameras, lasers, sometimes even microphones. They're incredibly effective at navigating, sure, but to do that, they demand unprecedented access to your personal environment. Now, if you value absolute data protection over having the latest tech, you can absolutely still stick with older, quote-unquote, dumb vacuums. They just rely on simple gyroscopes and accelerometers to get around. No mapping required. It means your privacy is completely safe, even if your shins and baseboards take a bit of a beating in the process. And that brings us to section 2, gathering dust and data, and what your vacuum actually sees. You guys, the sheer volume of information your vacuum scoops up alongside the dust is honestly staggering. Think about it. Its cameras can incidentally capture images of household members, pet waste, and cables scattered around. Meanwhile, the LiDAR, those are the little spinning lasers on top, they are drafting incredibly precise floor plan maps, plotting exact room dimensions, and figuring out your entire furniture layout. And on top of all that, your Wi-Fi connection is logging network names, signal strength, and usage patterns. Put it all together, and every single map and log creates a highly detailed digital portrait of your home life. It reveals the exact footprint of your house, which, if you think about it, can easily suggest things like income levels and living conditions to anyone analyzing that data. So naturally, the big concern here is what happens if this intimate data is accessed by unauthorized parties, right? Well, that takes us to section 3, real-world privacy leaks, and when data slips out of control. Because unfortunately, this isn't just theoretical. Back in late 2022, an MIT technology review investigation revealed a pretty shocking sequence of events. Basically, development versions of the iRobot Roomba J7 captured internal test photos. Okay, pretty standard so far. Those photos were then sent over to a data annotation platform called Scale AI to help train their object recognition software. But here's the kicker. Some gig workers actually violated their privacy agreements and leaked those private images, including, no joke, a highly private image of a woman on a toilet straight to private Facebook groups. Now, iRobot did note that these were paid beta testers who actively consented to being recorded, but still, it proved just how easily visual data collected by these vacuums can slip entirely out of control. And this whole situation brilliantly illustrates that privacy promises don't always hold water. Take the budget brand Eufy, for example. They heavily marketed their devices for local storage and privacy. That was their whole selling point. Yet security researchers actually caught them uploading footage to cloud servers completely unencrypted. It's a really stark reminder to all of us that you absolutely need to scrutinize how your smart devices actually handle your data behind the scenes, regardless of what the marketing says. Okay, but what happens when the leaks aren't just accidental? Let's move into section 4. Hacking your smart home and taking over the machine. Beyond internal data leaks, researchers have discovered some serious security flaws that can literally turn these devices into roaming surveillance tools. Tracing this timeline is wild. It reveals this continuous cat and mouse game. In 2018, a vacuum was found with a universal default password. It was literally admin and a bunch of 8s. Admin 888888. This allowed full remote control over the internet. Fast forward to a 2024 DEFCON presentation, and researchers there revealed a Bluetooth flaw in Ecovacs vacuums that allowed a complete silent takeover of the device. We're talking full access to the camera and microphone. And the scariest part? No warning light even turned on to let the owner know. But it escalates even further with what might be the most fascinating exploit, the LiDAR phone. This was a 2020 academic proof of concept where researchers actually modified a vacuum's firmware to record the minute laser signal changes caused by sound vibrations in a room. Think about that. They essentially converted the laser navigation system into a remote listening device. This is basically Cold War-style espionage right there in your living room. It proves that even vacuums without microphones can be co-opted to reconstruct snippets of speech or, identify that you're binge-watching reality TV on a Tuesday night. So when we compare the risks side by side, the contrast is pretty sharp. Look, physical risks do exist. In January 2024, a Florida family experienced a terrifying, though extremely rare, lithium-ion battery fire. And sure, the robots might bump your pets or scuff a chair leg, but the moving parts are low torque. Physically, they're quite safe. Compare that to the digital risks: silent camera activation, microphone eavesdropping, network sniffing, the extraction of your saved floor maps. It becomes crystal clear that the invisible threat, like a silent digital takeover, is by far the more pressing danger for the modern consumer.
All right, it's not all doom and gloom, I promise. Let's look at Section 5, how manufacturers are responding with patches, probes, and protection.
The crucial takeaway here is that responsible companies are actively fighting back. They're finally treating these robots like the advanced software products they actually are. Leading brands, we're talking iRobot, Roborock, Shark, Samsung, they're implementing some seriously robust security protocols. They're employing end-to-end encryption for data transmission, like AES 256-bit over TLS 1.2. They're utilizing bug bounty programs to catch vulnerabilities early on, and when flaws are found, like that Ecovax Bluetooth issue we talked about, they issue rapid public patches to secure the devices. They're also stepping up and achieving independent third-party security audits, which is huge. Now, this massive data collection has also caught the eye of some heavy-hitting regulators. When Amazon announced its intent to acquire iRobot back in 2022, the European Commission actually officially investigated the deal. And they weren't just looking at vacuums. They really wanted to understand how home map data might impact market competition. Could mapping data unfairly improve Amazon's organic purchase suggestions? Could it lead to hyper-tailored ads based on the exact layout and contents of your specific home? It just goes to show how immensely valuable this floor plan data really is to big tech. 13. That is the number of best practice areas outlined by the ETSI EN 303-645 standard. I know, a bit of a mouthful, but it's a really vital European IoT guideline. Alongside major third-party certifications from groups like TÜV Rheinland and TÜV Süd, this standard ensures that manufacturers are actually doing things right. We're talking about banning those universal default passwords entirely and mandating the secure storage of sensitive data. If you're shopping for one of these devices, these certifications are absolutely essential trust indicators. Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, protecting your home privacy and actionable steps for your smart home. Look, you have the power to lock down your device. First things first, use a strong, totally unique password for the companion app. And please, always enable two-factor authentication if it's available. Don't ignore those firmware and app updates either. They contain vital security patches. Next, a fantastic pro tip. Segregate all your IoT smart devices, including your vacuum, onto a separate guest Wi-Fi network. Just put them on their own island. This isolates them from your main network where you do your banking and work. Finally, limit app permissions and utilize those virtual wall barriers in the app to keep the vacuum out of sensitive areas like bathrooms or bedrooms. By stacking these simple layers of defense, you massively reduce your vulnerability to hackers. As smart home technology continues to evolve and meticulously map out our most private spaces, it really leaves us with a critical question to answer for ourselves. Are you willing to trade a piece of your privacy to avoid weekend chores? Exactly where do you draw the line between total convenience and absolute security? It's something to think about next time you see your little robot zipping across the rug. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay secure out there, and I will catch you in the next one.